Welcome back to Roblox Studio classes. We'll go into more details of scripting. In this video, we'll look at click detectors. We'll also look at scripting to change the color, transparency, and CanCollide properties of parts. To start this off, go ahead and open up a template in Roblox Studio, and after that, add a part to the world. Now the way I'm going to approach this is by making a part that will eventually become a door. So if you want to follow along in the same method that I'm doing this, go ahead and create what you want to be a door eventually. I'm just going to make this rectangular type of block. And I'll move it a little bit away from the starting point here. Try to line it up some. And I'll go ahead and rename this part to door, because we'll use that as a door in the second half of the video. But for this first half, we're just going to make this part change color. So next, let's add another part, and this is the part that's going to hold the click detector. You can make it whatever size you want. If you want to make it a sphere, make it a sphere. I'm just going to make it a block that's going to hover in the air, and for it to hover, you need to make sure that it's anchored. So if you look up in the toolbar, there's a little icon that is the anchor tool, that is the anchor icon. So make sure that that's clicked. That way the part doesn't fall when we play the game. And make sure that your door or big part is anchored as well. So for this first part, we want to be able to click this small block and have the click detector activate to make the big block change color. Easy enough. So I'm going to rename this block that's going to hold the click detector. I'll call it button part. You can rename it whatever you want. Next, let's add a script to this part and rename the script to a name that describes what it does. So I'll call it a click script. The second item to add is a click detector. Click the plus, and in the pop-up window, left click on click detector. So now we have this floating part that has both the click detector and a click script in it. With that, let's go ahead and start working on our script. Go ahead and delete this first line of hello world, and the first item to put in our script is a variable. We'll create a variable that represents our click detector. Type local, and then pick a word to represent your click detector. I'm just going to write click detector in this format, then equals. Then we need to tell the script how to reference or find the click detector. Now we're going to do this a little differently using wait for child. So we typed script.parent, and the parent is the part, the button part, and then we're adding wait for child. And what that means is when the game loads, this script could start running before the click detector is in place. And when the script looks for the click detector, it's not there and will throw an error. So if we put in wait for child, the script will wait until it finds the click detector. Then the script will continue on. Next, let's make a variable for the door. Type local, then pick a variable name. I will just stick with door, equals, and then we need to tell the script where the door is at. I'm going to start by referencing the game perspective. So game.workspace.door. With our variables done, let's make our click detector work. So let's put in our variable click detector. Then we're going to put mouse click :connect, and inside of these parentheses type function, then another set of parentheses, and hit enter. What this code says is when the click detector is clicked with the mouse, connect and run the following function. And a function is a set of commands. And the commands that we want to put in right now is to have the click detector change the color of our part. You can pick colors if you want. I'm just going to put in random for this video. Put down our door variable dot brick color equals brick color dot random. I'm going to follow this by a weight, and I'm going to put in a weight of 0.01. It's not necessary, but I want to put on some type of limiter to how fast someone can do something in the game. With this, the click detector should work when someone clicks on our part. So let's save the game. With the game saved, let's go back and test it out. We have to test this out with the player, so go ahead and hit play. Now with the click detector, when you move your mouse over the part that contains a click detector, the mouse will change from an arrow to a hand. Click the part and it should change the color. There it is. Each time you click, the color should change, and it's picking from amongst the palette of colors in brick color. So now you know how to make a click detector work to change the color of a part. Alright, let's take this to the next level. So for this next part, I'm going to change this large part that I named door into an actual door. It will start off impassable and opaque, meaning we can't see through it, unless the player clicks on our click detector. At that point, the doorway is going to become more transparent and we'll be able to pass through the door. Then, on the other side of the door, we'll make another click detector that converts the door back into a solid. Right now, I'm just adding some structure around the door. I'm taking the original piece and just duplicating it. I renamed the duplication piece to wall, and I'm just making more of them just to put around the doorway. Design yours however you see fit. The principle of the click detector here is going to remain the same no matter what game you create. So here's my simplified version of some special area that a player needs to get inside of by clicking the click detector. I've gone around and made sure that all of these parts are anchored, because if they're not, they might tip over or get pushed over. So let's test this out real quick. Hit the play button. Nothing should happen because we haven't added the appropriate script yet. But let's test it. Let's have the player run up to the door, try to get through the door. Nope, can't get through the door, can't get through the walls, nothing's falling over. And stop the game. The next step is to duplicate our click detector part, then move it to the other side of the building. And it's going to be scripted a little differently so that when the player crosses through the door, comes to the other side, they can click on this button to revert the door back to a solid object. So I'll just place it here, and I'll rename this part to distinguish it from the first one. And I won't be too creative by calling it button part 2, and I'll do the same thing with the script. Call it click script 2. That looks good. So now I'll be a little more organized. I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to put all my wall pieces in this folder. This is just for organization. And I'll call this folder wall folder. Select all of the wall objects, wall parts, and put them in the folder. Alright. I like this setup. So with the click script that we currently have, we're going to go ahead and make this first part change the door. And how are we going to do that? Well, if we click the door and we go down to its properties, we can see that there's transparency. And right now it's a transparency of 0, meaning we can't see through it at all. But we can change that. Also, there is CanCollide, which is checked. So a player can collide with the object. We can turn that off, and then a player can pass through it. The same thing is going to happen with the click detector on the other side. We're going to have it do the opposite. So those are our objectives. Let's go back to the script for the first click detector, and we need to modify this first line here. We're not going to change the brick color anymore in this way. Instead, we're going to change the transparency. So door.transparency equals, and then we're going to change it from 0 to 0.6. You can go all the way up to 1, which would make it completely clear, but I want to still be able to see that there's a door here that hasn't just disappeared. Next, we'll put in the code to be able to pass through the door, and that's with CanCollide. So door.CanCollide equals false. So we can't collide with the door. Alright, this should be good for our first click detector. Now let's go to the second click detector, and we need to do the opposite. Delete the brick color and type in door.transparency equals 0, meaning we can't see through it at all. Then for CanCollide, door.CanCollide equals true. So now we won't be able to pass through the door. Let's save our game, file save, and let's give this a test. Hit the play button. Let's test this out first by trying to go through the door. Nothing happens, it's solid. Now if we click our click detector, there we go. The door isn't completely transparent. You can see there's a little bit of gray still there. And can we pass through the door? Yep, we can pass through. So that script was successful. Now if we click this, it should change back. And we can't pass through it. Haha! Simple enough. You can use this click detector to let people enter into houses or buildings, to go from one area to another. Future scripts that I put out will build upon this knowledge, so you can combine them and make your scripts even more powerful, to make your games even more interesting. Thanks for watching, and look out for more videos where we use click detectors to create more actions in Roblox Studios. I'll see you then.